Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? There we go. Has everybody been enjoying the music so far? We got some great bands today, don't we? Glad y'all could make it. And, we really appreciate the opportunity that we could honor our vets today. That's very important, and we're glad you're here to honor our vets. It means a lot to us. And what we wanted to say that this festival is the very first festival we've held, Americana, and it was specially set up for the vets, and so it was very important for that. But the New Mexico Department of Veterans Services, the Veterans Administration, and the Central Rio Grande Veterans Organizations, its member groups have teamed to offer information services in the Veterans Center, and they did a great job here today. We really appreciate that very much. The Valencia County vets have been overlooked, and it's been too long. So we're trying to get attention and help to the vets here in Valencia County. And I'd like to introduce Barbara Bowman, who is the post commander for the American Legion here. And she wants to give a presentation on the veterans and recognize. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. That's a little tall. I'm shorter than you, dude. Hi, guys. I wish there were more people out here today. They've missed a really good time. Again, my name's Barbara Bowman. I'm the commander of the American Legion, Post 81 here in Belen. Our Legion is the Secundino Baldonado. I don't know if you people know any of the Baldonados, but our post was named after Technical Sergeant Secundino Baldonado, who was called Dean, and he's a native of Jorales. He served in the United States Air Force and was killed in action in the Republic of Vietnam in a series of explosions of B-57s that were preparing for combat missions on May 16, 1965. We're here to recognize all our veterans that served during war times: World War I, World War II, Korea War, Vietnam, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and for all our military who have served or are serving in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iraq. It's because of the commitments of our military members that we live in a free country today. I want to take the opportunity to recognize just some of our members from Post 81. Unfortunately, they're not here today as they had other commitments. We have a Miss Pearl Dunnigan, who's a World War II veteran from the Army Air Corps. Mr. Johnny Liba, who received the Purple Heart for service in Afghanistan. Mr. Mike Martin, who received the Navy Cross and Purple Heart while serving in Vietnam. And Mr. Robert Baldonado, Secundino's brother, who received the Purple Heart for service in the Korean War. The American Legion Post 81 sponsors the Veterans Memorial in Jorales, a memorial dedicated to all of our military members who served our country and died or were POWs who are from the Jorales area. We're now going to read the names of the New Mexico military members who were killed in action since 9/11.
Air Force Senior Airman Jason Cunningham, Carlsbad, Afghanistan. Army, go ahead. Army Sergeant First Class Christopher Spear, Albuquerque, Afghanistan. Air Force First Lieutenant Tamara Archuleta, Los Lunas, Afghanistan. Marine Lance Corporal Lori Piestua, Gallup, Iraq. Army Specialist James Pirtle, Carlsbad, Iraq. Air Force Major Stephen Plumhoff, Kirtland Air Force Base, Afghanistan. Marine Lance Corporal Christopher Ramos, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Sergeant Lee Tadahachini, Farmington, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Aaron Austin, Lovington, Iraq. Army Sergeant Tommy Gray, Roswell, Iraq. Marine Sergeant Moses Rocha, Roswell, Iraq. Army Specialist Christopher Merville, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Specialist Jeremy Christensen, Albuquerque, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Joshua Lucero, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Captain Todd Christmas, Wagon helicopter training crash near Waco, Texas. Marine Lance Corporal Christopher Adelsberger, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Staff Sergeant Joseph Rodriguez Las Cruces, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Jonathan Grant, Oaxaca, Iraq. Air Force First Lieutenant Jeremy Frescas, Farmington, Iraq. Army Corporal Lyle Cambridge Aztec, Iraq. Army First Class Damian Garza Clovis, Afghanistan. New Mexico National Guard Sergeant Marshall Westbrook, Farmington, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Shad Heidelbrandt, Maxwell, Iraq. Army First Class Mario Reyes, Las Cruces, Iraq. Army Specialist First Class Vernon Widner, Truth or Consequences, Iraq. Army Sergeant Clifton Yahtzee, Fruitland, Iraq. Army Corporal Jesse Zamora, Las Cruces, Iraq. Army First Class Ricky Salas Jr., Roswell, Iraq. Army Sergeant Robert Casson, Clovis, Afghanistan. Army Sergeant Leroy Segura Jr., Clovis, Iraq. Army Corporal Jose Zamora, Sunland Park, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Shane Harris, Las Vegas, Iraq. Army Lieutenant Colonel Marshall Gutierrez, Las Vegas, Kuwait. Army Specialist Alexander Jordan, Iraq. Marine Corporal Gary Kolner, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Sergeant Eric Vizcaino, Albuquerque, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Jeremy West, Albuquerque, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Emilian Sanchez, Santa Ana Pueblo, Iraq. Army Sergeant Matthew Apuan, Las Cruces, Iraq. Air Force Tech Sergeant Scott Duffman, Albuquerque, Afghanistan. Marine Lance Corporal Stephen Chavez, Hondo, Iraq. Army Specialist Stephen Kowalczyk, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Specialist Clifford Spone, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Sergeant Joel Lewis, Sandia Park, Iraq. Marine Major Douglas Simbiak, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Sergeant James Aiken, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Corporal Joel Dahl, Los Lunas, Iraq. Army Private First Class Henry Bird III, Viguita, Iraq. Army Corporal Jeremy Stacy Los Chavez, Iraq. Army Specialist Roberto Cazor Jr., Rio Rancho, Iraq. Army Major Thomas Bostic, Lovington, Iraq. Army Warrant Officer Christopher Johnson Gallup, Iraq. Army Specialist Bryn Naylor, Roswell, Iraq. Navy Tech Second Class Menelik Brown, Roswell, Arabian Sea. Army Captain Thomas Casey, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Sergeant Christopher Sanders, Roswell, Iraq. Army Sergeant Gary Willett, Alamogordo, Iraq. Air Force Staff Sergeant Christopher Frost, Kirtland Air Force Base, Iraq. Air Force Staff Sergeant Travis Griffin, Kirtland Air Force Base, Iraq. Staff Sergeant Kevin Roberts, Farmington, Afghanistan. Army Captain Bruce Hayes, Capitan, Iraq. Army Chief Warrant Officer 2, Christian Humphreys, Alamogordo, Iraq. Army Specialist Daryl Fernandez, Truth and Consequences, Iraq. Army Staff Sergeant Daniel Talawuzi, Albuquerque, Iraq. Air Force Staff Sergeant Timothy Bowles, Glorieta, Afghanistan. Army Sergeant Jose Escobedo, Albuquerque, Iraq. Army Specialist Christopher Kurth, Alamogordo, Iraq. Army Specialist Troy Tom Baclabido, Afghanistan. New Mexico National Guard Sergeant Joseph Gallegos Cuesta, Afghanistan. Army Specialist Tony Carrasco Jr., Anthony, Iraq. Army First Class Kenneth Westbrook, Farmington, Afghanistan. Army Private First Class Zachary Lovejoy Albuquerque, Afghanistan. Marine Corps First Lieutenant Brandon Barrett Albuquerque, Afghanistan. Army Private Charles High Albuquerque, Afghanistan. Army Sergeant First Class James Thode Farmington, Afghanistan. Marine Corps Sergeant Garrett Meisner Globus, Afghanistan. Private First Class Antonio Stiggins Roswell, Iraq. Marine Corps Sergeant Christopher Diaz Albuquerque, Afghanistan. New Mexico National Guard Sergeant Pernell Herrera Española, Afghanistan. Army Sergeant Israel Nuenes Los Cruces, Afghanistan. Army Sergeant Tristan Wade, White Sands Missile Range, Afghanistan. Army Private Errol Millard, White Sands Missile Range, Afghanistan.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Butch Harrison. I am a Vice Commander of American Legion here in the state of New Mexico. I realize a lot of people don't understand what that title means, so let me explain it to you real quick, and then I want to do a moment of silence for these brave warriors that have given their all. But the Vice Commanders, we have a commander, and he has 4 deputies. I'm one of the 4. And we do whatever the commander feels is necessary to promote the ideals and responsibilities of the American Legion. And so right now, after that little quick overview, can we please give a little time here for these fallen warriors, those that have supported New Mexico. These are heroes and heroines. Please give us about 15 seconds for them. Thank you so much. Thank you, men and women of Belen. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here this afternoon. For what I do, I have various jobs within the Legion. For those that don't know, the American Legion is the oldest and the largest veteran fraternal group in America. We were founded in 1919 after World War I. We come upon the scene here because we realized that there was a problem of all those World War I vets coming back to the States, and that was the basic thought process behind the GI Bill that so many veterans have utilized to make America great. We have also been instrumental in the post 9/11 GI Bill for the OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom, and Iraqi freedom people over across the pond, so to speak. This gives enhanced benefits. Currently, the Legion is approximately in the state of New Mexico, 172,000 veterans strong. However, we're having difficulty reaching these veterans. I have several jobs that I do in the Legion. One of them is I am in charge of the volunteer services for veterans at the Raymond Murphy Hospital out here in Albuquerque. I'm in charge of all the volunteers. I report volunteer hours, I receive volunteer donations, and I report this to our national convention because we all have to lobby Congress to get the dues that the veterans deserve. Because when I first joined the service in 1971, there was about 20% of Congress that was prior service people. Now that has dropped to under 5%. So they don't understand the veterans' situations. But let me just tell you what we do to help veterans. At the hospital, because we have approximately 110 volunteers, we save the hospital $3 million a year. $3 million. You know where that $3 million goes? It goes to the health care of the veterans. We put in normally about 12 to 14,000 hours a year at the hospital to help our veteran compatriots. We also donate $11,000 to $14,000 in pure USDA cash and clothing and other things to help our veteran population. We stand behind any program to help veterans. And let me just give you a little sample here. There's the CC program. This is for battered women that are going downtown and the husbands or whatever significant others or whatever the scenario is that beat these women. We have funds set up for them. We have therapy set up for them in the form of horse riding, anything that they want to do. When we talk about veterans with felony convictions, we now have a program, CCP Court, for veterans. Veterans can go down here now, and if they got non-violent felonies, we can put them in programs, erase these prior incidents. All they have to do is go through a program that's outside of the courthouse. They're not locked up. They're on their own recognizance. As long as they report within the program, we're doing a good job. So why do we have a thing like this? Why would the city of Belen put on something for veterans? Let me tell you why. We're a diminishing breed, but we're a proud breed. We are not begging for anything because we've already earned it. We've been to war. I've come home myself and traded suitcases with my wife in the airport and went to another destination. So I just want y'all to know that when you look at veterans and service people, it's not that simple job of go out here and shoot the enemy. It's a whole lot more than that. We're about family. And the Legion has a big family. We have the Legion, we have the Auxiliary, we have the Sons of the American Legion, and we have the American Legion Riders, which is our basic fundraising institution in the Legion. But what I'm really here for is to ask people that please support the men and women out here, these people here that are doing a righteous task to provide services for those that pay. And that's why the Legion is so good. And we're now embarking on a campaign to raise our membership up to $3.5 million. Million personnel. That is the highest it was, and now we want to get back to that. Because our legislators at the local, the state, and the national level, because they're not used to what the sacrifices we go through, don't understand. And what I'm asking the people here to understand is there's a lot of sacrifices people are making in the support of America's dignity and honor. And if they support dignity and honor, then they should receive dignity and respect in return. And that's all I'm saying to you. All I want people to understand is we got young men, young women out here doing a great job. They don't have anything. They don't have a choice. They have to follow direction. And what I'm here to do is ask for your support. If you are an eligible veteran, please join any. I'm a Legion guy. I'm saying join any fraternal organization. I'm saying also, if you find it in your hearts, you have some extra clothing, a few extra dollars, there's ways you can donate that and get a tax-free write-off. So I want to implore you to do everything you can for these returning servicemen and women. They don't have jobs when they come back. When they get discharged at port, what are they going to do? They just fought for the country. And now I'm asking you to remember that. They get discharged all over the country, sometimes 1,000 miles from their home where they were raised, and they say, now it's on you. I got a problem with that. I got a real problem with that, and I need your help. So if there's anything I can do, my name is Butch Harrison. I'm a vice commander of the American Legion, and I'll stand here to help any organization, any group of people that want to help vets. And I don't want to take up your time. Thank you for your support. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you can stand up for Steve. For Butch. Butch is like my hero. Now you know why. And I never have to worry about if I ask him to talk, he can always talk. I just want to let you know, we just moved our American Legion. We're on 325 South Main Street. We're next to the dry cleaners. If you are a vet, know of a vet who needs something, they need some help, please send them down to us, and we will do whatever we can, or we'll find somebody that can help that vet. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Thank you all very much. One of the things I wanted to let you know that as we're doing additional festivals and special events here in Belen, we will be continuing to provide outreach and support for the Veterans Association. So once again, thank you very much.